Welcome back. You're still watching Citizen Extra, the Wednesday edition with me, Freddie Ndimuli. The latest piece of news that we continue showing you is Wavinya Ndeti's win. The High Court has today ruled that Wavinya Ndeti should be on the ballot paper come August 8th. This, of course, is against IEBC's submissions that Wavinya Ndeti was guilty of party hopping. Of course, the High Court has ruled that the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal had already established that Wavinya Ndeti was a bona fide member of Wiper Party, and therefore the IEBC has no jurisdiction to overturn that decision, and therefore Wavinya Ndeti emerges victorious in this particular contest. Where does that leave IEBC? Its Chairman Wafula Chebukati, of course, we had as supporters of Wavinya Ndeti celebrated outside the courtroom following that decision, them castigating Chairman of the IEBC, Wafula Chebukati, the Machakos Governor, Alfred Mutua, Johnson Muthama, and Kiala, who's the Deputy Governor for Machakos County. In studio, we still have Advocate and Governance Analyst Eunice Lumalas, and also Bonke Komwaya, Political Analyst. We continue discussing this issue. Just before the break, of course, Bwana Komwaya was very strong with regard to this particular ruling. From a Jubilee perspective, I must mention, but now, Eunice, any reaction to that? Does everything have to be seen from a political eye?
I don't believe so, because even as he says that you know, IEBC is independent, and therefore what they're doing is, you know, from an independent perspective. Elections have a lot to do with perception. Okay, it doesn't matter that I don't actually see you doing something, but if I feel that you're doing it, if I can imagine that you're doing it, if there's any cloud of doubt that you are likely to be doing something, then I think that's what matters. You know, it's perception as well. When you look at even the clause of the independence of IEBC, it says IEBC is independent, shall operate independently. However, it has to take into account consultation and consultation with stakeholders and other people's views in determining in how it approaches its work. So therefore not everything has to be seen from a political perspective. And even as he said that Wavinya failed to lead her own party and had to disband it, what have we seen in this election? Yes. We have seen a lot of parties disbanding, you know, joining, changing in character and color and you know what not. So therefore I think that is neither here nor there. I think Wavinya has won. Yes. The people of Machakos have the sovereign right now to determine whom they wish to steer that boat of Machakos County. And for me, I think even from a woman's point of view, I'm happy to see more women contenders and governors. And she appears strong. And this has just augmented her position in politics. And I think that's a win which we must consolidate even as a women of Kenya.
But the fact that IEBC seems to be engaging in some of these legal contests, and if at all they come out as the losers, like your colleague Bwana Danstan Omari said, it could affect their credibility as well to some extent. This is just one. It's 47 days to the election. There's another contest with regard to who is supposed to declare the presidential results. The ruling is coming up later this week. There are these issues, the kind of summons, the hearings that they're conducting today, in as far as all these 7 different cases, 14 candidates involved in. Whatever ruling they give here as well could be subject to a court process as well. If IEBC continuously emerges as a loser in these legal contests, don't you think it will affect their credibility to some extent?
I think in a way it's already impairing their credibility, if you ask me. I think as a nation as well, Kenya, we have to be alive to other forms of resolving disputes in round table sort of way, in a quiet sort of way, you know, and IEBC has been thrust into a position of, you know, being arbiter in some of this situation. Now, even if you talk about the ruling coming up on Friday, did IEBC have to get into that tussle, if you ask me? Whose interest is it being perceived to protect, you know, in a situation like that? I think that's dangerous for IEBC. IEBC is in a position of public trust. You know, we as Kenyans have entrusted IEBC to secure our interest, and it has to be seen to be maintaining that position of public trust. We are not happy to see IEBC appearing or being perceived to appear in a way that can compromise its work. You know, because elections is a high stakes, you know, it's a high stakes job, and a lot of lives are you know, are tied to this. And right now, you know, nothing else seems to work. It's all elections, election, election. So that is one. And in terms of the cases and IEBC's position, I think they are put in a very, you know, tight position as a body supposed to hear and determine these conflicts. You know, where the names have already been cleared. And in that way, that is why I had said earlier, IEBC should apply itself more, use common sense, and try to even go back to the days of our grandfathers. How did they used to resolve some of these disputes? Bring the people together. Are there solutions that you can, you know, for the problems that you can creatively come up with without trying to politicize the process or, you know, injure or affect the sovereign rights of Kenyans to have certain candidates?
Yes.
You know,
but of course, it's not an easy task for IEBC, considering that it should come out as a fair arbiter in this particular electoral process. By engaging and appearing to be more confrontational than conciliatory, don't you think IEBC is shooting itself in the foot?
You see, IEBC is being run by human beings like us. Chavukali is also a human being, and politicians are all over him, especially the opposition side. They've been blaming him, and as you all know, the current IEBC, they've never run or conducted an election in this country. So remember when we advised the opposition to allow the IEBC to conduct primaries, they refused and declined the idea, and the president advised the fellow opposition leaders to allow IEBC to conduct primaries. What happened? NASA showed us how an election should be run to you know, to protect individuals and also to take the interest of the party. So Chavukali, I want to assure Kenyans that Chavukali is one of the competent leaders. I want Kenyans to be, especially the NASA supporters and also their leaders, because the problem is with the NASA leaders.
It's not with IEBC.
Not with the IEBC. They should give IEBC time.
I'll give you more time to continue that particular train of thought, but let's listen into the NASA presidential running mate, Kalonzo Musyoka, the Wiper Party leader, talking on the same issue about Wavinya being clear to run.
Tuikae ngumu kabisa, tusonge mbele, tupagie. Now we know ni kina nani wanatumiwa. And I am serious. IEBC, you will be what? Because after ile Hassan hakuingilia nomination process. Hapa registrar political parties Mama Lucy Ndungu anaandika wazi, asema Wavinya is a member of Wiper. Ile tribunal ambayo ilikuwa na zingine anasema rudieni uchaguzi, yenyewe kameka ruling kusema Wavinya is a proper member of Wiper Democratic Movement. IEBC na walizeni tena, what is your interest? Ikiwa Ibrahim anakuwa goalkeeper, anacheza namba 9, anasema mambo haya. Therefore, the whole country is watching. Na Wavinya umesaidia Kenya nzima. Kwa hivyo mimi nawatakia wewe kushika mkono tena wa baraka. God and win. We are going to do the best to deliver this country. Waliona jana Kimana huko kwa Loitoktok. Dunia nzima ukiangalia magazeti unaona kwanza watu wa Kenya wameamua. Ukiangalia vile Kitegela ilivyokuwa na imani jana peke yake, watu wa Kenya wameamua. Sasa tuelekea Western kesho, mtaona vile tutapatia vile wanajubiliwa, wamesema wakikubali safari hii wajue this country cannot afford another flawed election. For the sake of all of us, for the sake of our children and our children's children, this is the time. Ikiwa Jubilee utashindwa, angalieni what other people have done. They have become statements. Good luck Jonathan is a statesman. He was a president in Nigeria. Akashindwa after round 1. Akakubali, akawa hero. In Ghana, the same thing has happened. Sasa mkishindwa, we want to guarantee Jubilee kwamba tutawatunza. Amesema kama President Uhuru mwenyewe atakubali ameshindwa. Sisi wenyewe vile tulianza na mtindo wa President Moi, unakumbuka wende not swept kano out of power. Wengine walikuwa wanasema Moi afukuzwe, asijue pokonywe nyumba, asema mimi kwa cabinet nikakataa. Nikasema I don't want a country like Zambia. Baada ya 27 years of President Kaunda, Chiluba alikuja akasema huyu mtu ni wa Malawi. Can you imagine? So lazima tuheshimu our retired president. Sasa tuna mzee Moi, tuna mzee Kibaki, Uhuru ajiunge na yeye pia. Hakuna shida, hatuna ubaya. We are just pitching tent for democracy. Pitching tent for democracy. Na hii ya uchezaji hii imechezwa hapa Machakos. Kuna mama, vijana, kila mtu ako na haki. Watu wa Machakos and everywhere. Tunaambia wameanza kuchukua ID. Kuambia napatia vijana Machakos ati mnapatiwa kazi. Unapeana ID yako overnight. Ujue ID inaenda nachukuliwa photocopy, unapiga kura tayari. Uenda ukaenda kwa kituo alafu ambie wewe ulipiga kura zamani. Na kumbe na ile kipande umepeana. So tuchunge ID, tuchunge mali yetu, tuchunge urithi wetu, na tujue kwamba safari hii tumelia wezi mara nyingine. Mimi nilisema Raila kuna roho safi ameibiwa mara mbili. Mara ya pili aliibiwa pamoja na mimi. Mimi siwezi kuibiwa tena. Mahakama kuu Wiper imesema na kushukuru sana, tunawatakia kila la heri. Tumeona hapa pia Mheshimiwa Steve Mole ninamwona pia Mheshimiwa Motesia ambaye anapeleka.
Live pictures there from Milimani Local here, Nairobi, where supporters of Wavinya Ndeti continue celebrating. They are watching Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka giving his comments with regard to today's High Court ruling, which has declared that Wavinya Ndeti is a bona fide member of the Wiper Party, and therefore she will be on the ballot paper come August 8th. That's a big win for Wavinya Ndeti. We continue discussing this and other developments, political developments, here in studio with Eunice Lumalas, advocate and governance analyst, also political analyst Bonke Komwai. Eunice, there's this feeling that IEBC keeps walking into some of these contests blindly, that probably, as you said, they should take a step back and probably be more conciliatory as opposed to confrontational. What exactly do you think is the problem? Because I'm sure they must have legal advisory as well.
I think one would be wise, you know, in a scenario such as we have, even if you're in a public office, to be alive to political undertones in terms of elections. And I'm not saying that politics is more important than the law. Even in law school, we have a course which is called Law and Politics. I think it's there for a reason. And therefore, if you find yourself in the shoes of someone like Bwana Chebukati and his assistant Ezra, every morning you can find you're just being rushed, you know, through the motions. So it's very important for them to be very strategic in thinking and look back at our history as Kenya in terms of management of elections. It's very difficult. It's a very emotive issue, and those who've been in election courts will tell you it's very emotive. But also, it's a process where both the quality of the process and the quantity of the outcome have to be taken into consideration. The quality of the process as Africans, and I'm sorry I have to say us as Africans, because we have just witnessed the UK elections and how there were no issues in terms of processes. People respect processes that have been laid down by the law. But us as Africans, by the time you find an election body is telling you, I'm going to pay, or we are going to pay for each of representatives of parties to come with us to Dubai at our own cost for I don't know what period of time, just to ensure that we are printing in a proper way, I think that is already a problem. I think we must look at the letter that is even coming from the churches, a letter that says it's very reconciliatory. Hey, IEBC, how are you? We think that you should take a pause, consult stakeholders on these and these issues, and you know, we need to have a credible process, not just a free and fair process, but also a credible process and credible candidates. So I think IEBC needs to be strategic in terms of where it's going to. If you ask me, this Wavinya case, no way, we handled it badly as IEBC, because I'm a stakeholder as well as a Kenyan. As I've said, IEBC is in a position of trust. IEBC should have seen what they're getting into. They already had the PPDT, the Political Parties Tribunal, listening to the matter. It has been appealed. It comes back to IEBC, and they can dismiss the case on a technicality, which is actually contrary to the law as it is right now. That was very reckless, and it begs the question, is IEBC for all of us, or whose interest is IEBC looking at, where they have to step out of their way to disqualify a specific candidate against all odds, against the law, which has just been restated today by Justice Odunga. I think I have to laud that process.
Incidentally, now that this has happened today, as the IEBC is sitting to hear these 7 different cases where they've summoned 14 candidates for alleged breach of electoral code of conduct, don't you think this presents a problem for the IEBC, that already they are starting this process, but everyone, in terms of perception, they're already dented?
The mere fact that Wavinya has won this case, that cannot qualify or dismiss the panel of IEBC to stop whatever they are doing as far as the political issues are concerned.
But in terms of perception, don't you think they already suffer a dent?
Well, it is upon the chairman of IEBC. He should consult political analysts in any decision he's making. He should also consult politicians, because if you look at everything based on legal perspective, the repercussion in terms of, because politics is 90% of it may be propaganda to some. I'm not saying I'm a propagandist, but the chairman of IEBC should watch this and also take this. I would advise him on air, because I'm not, we can't meet and talk, because he's running an independent body and I'm in the ruling party. So Chavukali, the chairman of IEBC, should take this so serious, because the perception and the kind of poison the opposition leaders are poisoning Kenyans with is quite dangerous for the nation as far as the election of 8th of August is concerned. Now, if you can allow me, Ndimuli, I would love to comment, to raise a sentiment on Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka's sentiment he has just shared with us on there a few minutes ago. You see, Kalonzo has been the most threatened political leader in Ukambani community. And when Governor Mutua defected from Wiper and joined his own political party, he engaged the government because he wanted to address the interest of his community. Now, when Kalonzo realized that when one of your loyalists or one of your supporters cannot be loyal to you, obviously you will be threatened, because Mutua went to Machakos with the politics of development. Now, remember, even Mudama disagreed with Kalonzo Musyoka because of Wavinya Ndeti's issue. Honorable Kalonzo took Wavinya just to seek sympathy votes from the great people of Machakos, so that he can command the entire Kamba community. But the Kamba nation, they know what they want. Some of these politicians, we respect them so much. They've been in politics for decades. And when you look at it from development perspective or development concept, you'd ask yourself, yes, we've been worshipping our political leader, we've been so loyal behind him, but what has he done as far as development is concerned? So when the devolved government came into perspective, and you know, some of the counties in this country, we know how corruption has messed the devolved government. I think even if Mutua has some issues with corruption, because you cannot deny to have a thief in your family. If somebody is a thief, he's a thief. But he has tried. Even if there is corruption of 10 or 20%.
Allegations. He has not been convicted yet.
Yes, yes. We need to appreciate Governor Mutua, if we leave alone looking at it from political perspective. But it will be quite dangerous. It's really worrying. I don't even think that Wavinya Ndeti would serve the interest of Machakos residents. They are going to serve the people of Ifimate, of which I cannot even tell. I can't see her winning the election of gubernatorial race. Back
to the IEBC issue, because that's the biggest issue we have today. Do you think, Eunice, that IEBC is has enough laws and it's actually able to bite? Because yes, it's well and good to listen to some of these cases, but what next after that? Can the IEBC actually bar anyone, legally speaking?
Well, IEBC, for me, I only think, emerging from the experience of the political party primaries, there's a lot to learn from what we have just gone through in terms of the process that was there before the political parties tribunal. The primaries themselves, if we are able to manage the primaries properly, because we have to remember only, I think, 4 political parties are receiving funding. What about the rest of the parties? So, you know, it's expensive to run a proper primary session. So this is, what we are seeing is developing from, you know, from the process, the party primaries, and we need to rethink to see whether IEBC can be given a greater role or empowered more. However, having said that, I have a problem with the role of IEBC listening to disputes that are emerging after the nomination process, because you know you can't clearly delineate the role of IEBC as as a manager of the elections. Now it's sitting again, it's giving evidence, it's judging. You know, that's what we have seen in the Wavinya and Ndeti case and probably other related cases, and therefore we have to check. Now, having learned from this process, is it the best body to manage those cases? Having said that, I think we have to learn the lesson moving forward for IEBC. I think
yes.
That's what I have.
Bonakumwai, do you agree that IEBC probably, in terms of this legal contest, it should not be the probably the complainant, that some of these should be handled by some other body and the IEBC just included in the case?
Jubilee, IEBC is a fully fledged institution, and they have everything. They have they have learned legal experts in that institution, I guess so. And what we need to ask ourselves, why do you think all this time since 2030, since the IEBC came into, the current IEBC came into perspective, the opposition has never agreed with them? It's the same way they've been doing to the government of Kenya. Don't you think, even if Jubilee has been corrupt the way they are saying it, there is nothing Jubilee has done that any Kenyan can appreciate? Tell me any day the NASA principals or the NASA leaders, they've appreciated even the president for something good they've done. When we are talking about issue of security, we are so peaceful in this country. They can't even appreciate. They want something which will masquerade and send a signal to Kenyans and using propaganda to be against the system of this country. IEBC, I'm very sure. And actually ask yourself even the issue now, the printing which is now going on in Dubai. They've been complaining that IEBC collided with the government. But I would ask, I don't think it is a must that the government must consult opposition leaders on any decision they are making. That's why they are opposition, and Uhuru Kenyatta is the president. So if IEBC did their due diligence, yes, and they approved the company which is now processing our ballot papers, that was not our decision. It wasn't the decision of the president. IEBC is to advise us and to advise the nation. So they should not say that, okay, they are trying to tell their supporters that IEBC is working with the government and anything IEBC has been doing, they're just working for the favor of the interest of the ruling party. Okay. But I would ask them, unless, because they've been blaming the chairman of IEBC as if the chairman of IEBC conducted their primaries the other day without the knowledge of the public. Chavukari has not run an election in this country, and we need to be patient with him. Let us see if they could have allowed the current IEBC to run primaries by engaging even some political...
IEBC itself declared it was not able to run the primaries this year, Bonakumwai.
No, they declared based on the sentiment of opposition leaders, because when the president advised the opposition leaders to allow and engage the IEBC to conduct primaries, they refused. Okay. So that's why
unfortunately our time is up. Our time is up. Eunice,
just a little correction here. Yes. When he says, when Mr. Bonke talks about the president, you know, he has to also know that the president is actually an active candidate in the current elections, and it's stipulated that as a candidate he must conduct himself in a certain manner, just like any other candidate as well. And IEBC must appear above board so that all of us as Kenyans feel that the public trust we have put in IEBC is defensible. Okay. You know, that's all I probably...
And on that note, we wrap up this discussion. Thank you so much, Eunice Lumalas, advocate and also governance analyst. Also, Bonke Kumwai, political analyst. Thank you so much helping us understand what's happening with the IEBC, which is today listening to 7 different cases. It has summoned 14 candidates over allegations of alleged breach of the Electoral Code of Conduct. This same day, a decision of the High Court has gone against the IEBC. The High Court ruling in favor of Wavinya Ndeti, who IEBC had said she had been culpable of party hopping. Wavinya Ndeti now will be on the ballot paper come August the 8th. Let's now go back to the campaign trail. Jubilee Party today continues on the campaign trail with President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy touring Murang'a County. Our reporter Jackie Maribe has been, or rather remains embedded in that Jubilee Party campaign team, and now joins us on phone from Murang'a with an update. A very good morning to you, Jackie. What exactly is happening in Murang'a as we speak?
Right. Good morning, Fred. As you have rightly put it, we continue to keep an eye on the Jubilee campaign, presidential campaign rather, and today they are taking to Murang'a County. Fred, it's important to state that they will have quite a number of stops, more than we have seen them taking on in any of the counties, of course, trying to solidify or consolidate their central Kenya base. They will be starting at Blue Post, where we do understand the president's convoy will be arriving any moment now. All leaders, whether those who got the Jubilee Party tickets, those who are running as independents, are currently meeting at the Blue Post Hotel. And we do understand there will be a very brief meeting before they head out, all of them together, to Murang'a County, to just basically tour and rally their supporters into voting for the Jubilee Party. Fred, if I can just take you through the spots that they will be going to. As I said, they will be meeting at Blue Post, and stopovers will be at Jogoo, Mabanda, Kyunyu, Kahaini, the famous Kenol, Kangundoine, Karega, Kirere, Mutisi, Kaharati, Maragwa, Mukoyo, Kahuro, Kangema, Kiriaine, Kamasharia, Mugeka, and finally there will be a public rally at Ihora Stadium in Murang'a town. But Fred, what is so key about Murang'a County is the fact that there is that dicey question of independent candidates. And already we were able to pass by through Blue Post, and we spotted a number of them. The incumbent Senator Kembi Gitura was there. Jamle Kamau, who was running to be governor, was there. They are both running as independents, having lost in the Jubilee Party primaries. And there are a number of independent candidates as well who are on the forefront of what they are calling Mbele Ikosawa campaign, and another group that has been formed basically by independent candidates who are supporting President Uhuru Kenyatta's re-election bid. Now the question then becomes, Fred, what becomes rather of these independent candidates versus the ticket holders of Jubilee? As we have been on this campaign trail, Fred, we have noticed, or observed rather, that President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto have changed the narrative to ask their supporters to vote in a six-piece suit. Now that, of course, Fred, would be dicey in a county like Murang'a, where those who are running as independents are also on the forefront of rallying up support for the re-election of President Uhuru Kenyatta. And it's important to mention, Fred, over the weekend, while we were in President Kenyatta's own backyard in Kiambu County, there was also the question of, William Kafogo, who lost in the party primaries but is running as an independent. Were able to see a number of supporters coming out and saying that they would, of course, support the presidential re-election bid, but for the other leaders, the people should be allowed to decide for themselves. Now, these are scenes that, of course, Fred, we are waiting to see whether they will play out in Murang'a County, but that is something that we will, of course, be updating you as the afternoon progresses. From Murang'a County, they will be heading to Nyeri County tomorrow and then take on a 3-day tour of Meru County just days after their opponents had pitched a tent there. Fred.
Thank you, Jackie Maribe there on phone from Murang'a County, where President Uhuru Kenyatta is expected to lead the Jubilee Party brigade as they continue their campaigns of the Mount Kenya region. Of course, President Uhuru Kenyatta will start that particular tour from Thika, which borders Murang'a County, and make several whistle-stop tours on his way to addressing a major rally in Murang'a town. Jackie Maribe will be updating us throughout the day. Well, let's now take a break. Citizen Extra continues.